I thought to myself, because we got to find something better for Morgan to do, because she's not able to interact like what we would consider a normal child, atypical, whatever. So we thought, well, how about a theme park where those with and without special needs could play together? So that was how Morgan inspired that, because she was not given a chance. We witnessed it and said, how can we make that different? And that was the beginning of Morgan's. But it's moved from just a theme park to now a nonprofit that has assets over $200 million.
Welcome to Breaking Ground SA, a RECSA podcast where we dig into real estate deals, developments, and decision makers shaping San Antonio. I'm your host, Stephanie Reyes, President and CEO, joined by my co-host, local policy expert, Rob Killen. Let's break some ground. Welcome to another episode of Breaking Ground SA, coming to you from the IBC Bank studio. Today's episode is brought to you by IRC Capital Residential. Our guest is Gordon Hartman, a San Antonio businessman turned philanthropist whose impact on the city is impossible to miss, especially in the special needs community. Gordon is a developer who turns success into purpose. In San Antonio, he's not just known for what he's built, but for how he's reshaped the conversations around inclusion, accessibility, and what real community impact looks like. In this episode, we'll hear how he's taken projects beyond profit and what it really means to build something that defines legacy. Thanks for tuning in. All right, we have Gordon Hartman in the IBC Bank studio. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Take out of your busy schedule.
You bet.
So, when people hear your name, they immediately think Morgan's Wonderland. But, we want to hear about young Gordon and what he was like.
Young Gordon. It's kind of like a young Sheldon thing. Huh?
There you
go. Growing up, of course, San Antonio's been my only city I've ever lived in, which to some people may seem boring. To me, I'm very blessed that I've been able to spend my entire life here. And I grew up going to a Catholic school and then was in the seminary for 4 years. And during that time, I kind of became entrepreneurial, actually, while in the seminary, which is kind of a strange connection. But I actually started cutting yards. And
You're how old?
Oh, gosh, I was 15, 16, somewhere in there. And then I started hiring people to help me cut yards, et cetera. And so and then once I got out of the seminary, I had a real desire to want to build a home. And it was something I always wanted to do. And my dad would always tell me, when you turn 18, you can do whatever you want, but you're on your own. And as I look back on that was probably one of the best things he did for me. Even though at the time I was like, come on, Dad, let me do this. I want to do it now. I'm 16, I'm 17, I want to build a house. And he says, no. And so when I turned 18, I got my real estate license, but also I went and bought a lot from money I had saved from landscaping and was able to put some money together to build a little bitty house over on a street called Odell, over off near Dora and San Pedro. And I remember buying a lot for about $3,000. The impact fees were like $700. And when I think about that today, I go, wow, okay. And I built a home and I ordered the plans out of a magazine, and they came from North Carolina, which meant they had all kind of specifications I didn't need to do. So I did a lot of things in the house that I didn't have to build, wind issues and all these other things. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing it one step at a time. Built a home, and then I sold it. I thought, that's kind of cool. So I made a little bit of money, not much, because I think a lot of the contractors knew we can get this kid. We can kind of. So I built a home, sold it. Then I went and built another one, and then I went and built 7, all at one time, and sold all of them.
Wow.
And so this would put me somewhere around 20 now. So this is 83. So that was really kind of the beginning of the company. And then for the next 22 years, to kind of speed this story forward, the company continued to grow. We started doing many different communities all around San Antonio. I also got in the development business, putting in water, sewer, roads, that sort of thing. Started a mortgage company so we could do our mortgages. Sold the notes on the secondary market. Was in the insurance company and was in the title business. And then here comes 2005. 2003, 2004, folks started wanting to buy the company. Because really we were a one-stop shop, basically. You do your color selects, you would do all, and we could take care of everything. And so we sold the company in 2005 to a company out of California. And then at that time, technically I was retired, but I was 41 because I went from 19 to 20 to 41, which is 22 years, but I was in the business 22 years. And one of my things was I was not going to take the business and say, well, I'm going to continue to manage it after I sell it. Because I said, that's not going to work. This is my baby. This is all I know. I'm going to run it my way. And so if you want to buy me, you have to buy me out and you have to let me out. And this company was willing to do that. And so I sold the company and all the other companies. I held a few assets, but for the most part, they came and bought everything from me, all the companies. And so here I am at 41 looking for what am I going to do next. And I had a desire to really kind of step back and say that I wanted to continue maybe down the road in real estate. It wasn't on my mind. Really what I wanted to do is put my focus towards assisting our friends with special needs and disabilities. As you all may know, I have a daughter who has special needs, Morgan. She's our only daughter and who deals with cognitive and physical special needs. And Morgan's one of the lucky ones. You know, she has all the doctors, she has all the therapists, she has a great caregiver, she has 2 loving parents, such an exception to the rule. And so my thought was, let me start a small foundation or a foundation and see where it goes. And that's grown tremendously. I know we're going to talk about that some, so I won't get into too many details because I could go on for the next 30 minutes. But the thing that was most interesting about it is I'm really glad that decision was made at 41 because now I've been doing that 21 years. So technically this month, I've been retired 21 years.
Wow.
And Morgan's Wonderland opened 16 years ago. So the gap is 5 years, but that meant that we spent some time kind of forming the foundation, seeing what we're going to do. And now Morgan's Wonderland is only about 15% of our overhead budget for Morgan's. We're into 12 different types of opportunities, all the way from surgical centers to salons to multi-assistance centers to now a hotel and many other things. So it's been quite a trip so far.
Yeah.
So, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. I would say I'm busier now than even when I was running businesses because there's just so much going on and so many more things that we want to do. So I'm having a blast.
So, Gordon, we're going to talk about Morgan's Wonderland and some of the cool things. And I heard you speak at a breakfast program a few weeks, Barn Door. I guess a few months ago.
Yeah.
And talk about all the cool things on the horizon. So stepping back to your career as a home builder, what are some of the lessons that you learned doing that have translated to what you're doing at Morgan's Wonderland? Obviously, there's business, there's a practical side of development, but what are kind of your early takeaways as a young home builder that you've carried with you?
Well, probably the thing that's most important is being a home builder. Number one, you have to have a certain amount of instinct, I think, especially in land development, you do. Because a lot of times I would want to buy a piece of land. People go, Gordon, that's not a good piece. I'd go, no, I just feel good about that. And I'm not saying I have a 1,000 batting record, but I was very blessed in that normally a lot of stuff I got into worked. But I think that's number one. You got to have an instinct. And it's got to be in your blood. If real estate's not in your blood, and development's not in your blood, if home building's not in your blood, don't even attempt it because it will make you white-haired, see? I know nobody out there can see it, but I actually dye my hair white. So recognizing that the reason is because it will turn it that way because it is a business where there's a lot of focus. You got to constantly stay on your toes, and you got to be persistent. When someone tells you no, you got to say, well, how about if we did it this way, or how about if we did it that way? And you got to be willing to work with people. Especially in a city like San Antonio. San Antonio is a great city to develop in, but as we talked about right before we went on the air here, is that we're a big city, but we're a small town.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep that element of relationship because if you start to mess that up, you quickly will not be seen in the market as someone that people want to do business with, and that will hurt, obviously. And so those are a few lessons that I learned early on. I didn't know certain things. Obviously, I got into the business having no knowledge of how to build a house, zero knowledge of how to run a mortgage company, a title company, all those different things. So, and I came straight out of high school, so I have no college education.
Wow.
And I tried at San Antonio College, but I flunked orientation. So,
okay.
I had no choice but to go ahead and get in the home building business, I guess. So maybe that's a prerequisite for home builders is if you fail orientation at SAC, you go to become a home builder. But it's a business that's been in my blood. It's still in my blood because I'm still doing development. I say I'm doing it on the side. It's still a pretty good sized company, but it's on the side because really where I spend all my time is with Morgan's because of all that we're doing there. But again, it goes back to the love for it, the desire to develop relationships, and a certain element of persistence, because things sometimes you get into developments and you go, ooh, that's not exactly what I thought. And you got to find ways around it, make it work, or else, I can remember early on in the business thinking, if this doesn't work, I'm done. And I'll tell you a real quick story to one. The first development I ever did was only 6 lots. And I remember I was really cool because I was buying a lot on 1 acre, and I was going to put 6 lots on it on the end of a cul-de-sac over on the southeast side of town. And so I buy it, and it's raining cats and dogs, and I'm in there, and I go in, and I close, and I'm so proud, and I've just spent every penny I had on this, and I drive down the rain, and I get to the end of the street where I want to put this cul-de-sac, and it's just flooded.
Oh, no.
Okay, because I didn't go to an engineer in advance. I didn't know I had to do it, so I called and said, hey, I got a problem, and he goes, yeah, you do. So I had to go get a 750-foot easement, water easement, from a school district to be able to make that development work. Had that not happened, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, okay? Because I had to get that because I had no money other than that. So luckily that worked. We sold those homes. It went on. We built bigger developments, and then eventually did quite a bit thereafter. So, yeah.
Well, so, okay, you're 18. 19. You have no clue, but you just have a heart and a passion and want to do this. Did you seek out advice from folks? I mean, someone guide you, mentors?
Yeah, some. I would go to people and I would ask questions. What I did a lot of is I walked a lot of sites. I walked a lot of, back then the big home builder was Ray Ellison. So I would go and look at a lot of his sites. Pat Legan was the president of Ray Ellison. I never talked to him while he was president, but after he retired from there, I would go see him a couple of times, just ask questions. I'd go to people who were in the industry and say, hey, I don't really know how to do this. And people were nice to say, hey, we ought to help this kid because he has no idea what's going on. And they were very nice, and they helped me kind of understand. And I wanted to be a one-stop shop where basically I could handle it all the way from farm to finish. Take it to where I put the streets in. I handled every element of the entire operation, every part of something that had to relate to the buying of a home, we controlled. And that's how we sold it as well, which is why we sold it to, because the company we sold to wanted to take that same concept. And then after 2005, of course, the market went the other way. So, but to answer your question, yes, it was something where, I asked a lot of questions. I still ask a lot of questions. I mean, nothing's changed about that. I was the kid that when you wanted to go out to recess, when you were in school, I'd always raise my hand. Everybody would be mad because I still had another question. Okay. Yeah.
You were delaying the fun.
I was delaying the fun, yeah.
So your daughter, Morgan, inspired you. So tell us a little bit about Morgan. What's she like?
She's an incredible young woman. And many times we refer to individuals with special needs as children. Well, Morgan was once a child. She's still my child, but I mean, now she's a young woman who is 32 and be 33 in September.
Okay.
And she's a wonderful, wonderful young woman who has gone through a lot, though, and from the standpoint that she has a cognitive level about a 5 or 6 year old.
Okay.
Has TBRS. I won't get into all the details of that, but certain things we have to watch and things that. As a matter of fact, the national conference on TBRS now 2 years in a row has been here in San Antonio because of Morgan.
Oh, that's
the internet. People come from all over the world here, and we host them. But she also has had a lot of physical issues as well. She has 26 screws and 2 rods in her back that allow her to stand up straight. She's a little over 6'5", right at 6'5".
Really?
Very tall. And part of that was from the surgery because she stands very straight. It's almost like she's at attention. And but she's been through a lot. That being said, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier. She may have been through a lot, but every day in what I do, I see children and adults because Morgan's deals with all ages, all issues that they may have. And Morgan's the lucky one. I mean, she has an incredible caregiver who helps her with behavioral issues, helps her make sure she makes her doctor's appointments, also has someone who actually she lives with who is a little older, who is cognitive levels a little higher, which helps her kind of be more communicate a little bit more than maybe she did before. So she has all those different things, and that's really what I'm trying to do with Morgan's is try to change and spark some cultural change in the aspect that there's a lot of individuals like Morgan who don't have anything, nothing. And I can get into detail about everything we do, why we do it, but it's because we want to try to make the playing field a little bit more level. Why should Morgan, because she has opportunities, not have what others have. And maybe we can tweak that a little bit.
Sure.
And so that's why I do what I do. And I'm 24/7 into it. As I mentioned to y'all, I mean, this is my passion. And it's because of Morgan. She was the inspiration behind it. Because what happened was on the development of, see, before we were just working with nonprofits and donating money. But I knew I wanted to do something more than that, but I didn't know what it was. And so there was a situation where Morgan and I were in a pool, and she did not have the opportunity to partake and an opportunity to play with other kids because she didn't know how to say, hey, I want to play.
Okay.
And they got out of the pool real quick because they were scared because they didn't know why she was approaching them without just verbalizing saying. And so she hit the ball. And I jumped back in the water, and I thought to myself, because we got to find something better for Morgan to do, because she's not able to interact like what we would consider a normal child,
Sure.
atypical, whatever. And we also talked about how when we went to like Disney World and things like that, we never went to the park. We'd stay an hour, and it was too loud, it was too crowded, it was too noisy, it was too this, and so it was like, So we thought, well, how about a theme park, where those with and without special needs could play together. So that was how Morgan inspired that, because she was not given a chance. We witnessed it and said, how can we make that different? And that was the beginning of Morgan's. But it's moved from just a theme park to now a nonprofit that has assets over $200 million.
Yeah, that's
and so
amazing.
it's a little bit bigger than just that tiny little operation that started 16 years ago.
So you recognized the need, you were inspired, but was there a model for you to look at when you thought about developing Morgan's Wonderland? Was there another park like that anywhere in the world?
No, I thought Rob, I thought people were telling me, you need to go see this park. That's kind of what you're looking for. And I'd go and travel there, because back then you had the internet, but you really just wanted to go and see it. And so no, that's not what we're looking for. So what I did is I just put out an email. At that time, the foundation had about 2,000 contacts. And so I did an email and said, hey, I've got this idea. I don't really know what all the details of it are. Will you come and see us? And so people came to these meetings, a lot of people. Well, we actually had to have 2 meetings. And I said, I've got this idea. It's a blank slate, and I want to build something where those with and without special needs come together. And I want it to be ultra accessible, meaning no matter how acute someone's special need may be, they can play alongside anyone who may not have any special need at all. And I want it to be free for individuals with special needs. Reasons on both. One is individuals with acute special needs many times never have opportunities at all. I won't get into great detail, but there's an area that I was really wanting to focus on. These are children who, most of them are on wheelchairs, vision impaired, hearing impaired, on breathing apparatuses, feeding tubes. We need to pay attention and make sure that they can do alongside anyone else. So it's for everybody.
Sure.
But we wanted to develop a place that was for everybody. And so when we first opened Morgan's, everybody thought it was a place just for individuals with special needs. Mm-hmm. And it's totally the opposite. We're not about an accessible park. We're about a park of inclusion.
Got it.
Where those with and without special needs come together and play. So for every 5 people who come to our Welcome Center, 4 do not have special needs. 1 does, on an average. It varies from day to day. But so the beauty of that is now my daughter can go and play alongside someone who maybe she would never have had the opportunity. Going back to the pool example, bring down that barrier so the next time something like that may happen somewhere, they'll go, yeah, come on and play, because they'll feel comfortable.
Sure.
So that was the original concept. And that concept has just grown now into many other things from the idea of how Morgan's got started.
Yeah. So when you had this great vision and this passion, was it difficult to sell the idea to other folks? Because this is so unique.
Yeah. I mean, I would, at first, of course, we put in some money, but then we wanted to get the community involved. And you're right. I remember going to the Boleros of the world and other nonprofits and HEBs and those and saying, hey, I got this idea. And all I had was basically a brochure that was a 3D brochure of what we kind of thought it would look like. And I sold off of that, if you will, the way you use the word sell. So yeah, I sold the idea of doing this, and we were able to bring enough funds to build that park. From the time the incident in the pool to the time we opened that park was 39 months. Wow. And it was $36 million 16 years ago in a 16-year-old dollar. So today that park would probably run about $75 million, I guess, or something, probably double that to build. But so when you think about it, it was a pretty big undertaking. It happened so quickly. And people have often asked, how was that possible? I think the main reason is because in San Antonio, we are a very passionate city. Not only about giving money, it's not always about money, but it was about people just wanting to come together to do something that was And San Antonio is a great city to do it in. I've often said, could we do it in Dallas and Houston? I don't know those cities, but I'm not sure we could. It would have gone as well. Will there be other Morgans in other cities? The answer is yes, because we've developed an institute that helps others do things.
Wonderful.
And we're doing things all over the world now through that. But in respect to that, there was nothing to go off of. Nothing to say, well, we'll build it just like that one. And here we are, 8 billion people on the face of the earth, and there's still nothing like a Morgan's, a true ultra-accessible, fully inclusive. And so people come from 123 countries, all 50 states, and that's what we know. We don't. When you come up, we don't go, what country you're from. That's when someone says, hey, by the way, I'm from Australia, or I'm from Greenland. Someone asked me the other day, because Greenland's been in the news, have you had anybody from Greenland? And the answer is yes, we've had someone from Greenland. So people come from all over the world to experience what Morgan's has to offer. And then, of course, the Texas markets are big for us. Houston's a real big market for us. San Antonio, of course, Austin, Dallas, El Paso. We got a lot of folks from El Paso, but people come from all over. And of course, with the other things that we're doing, like the hotel and other things that we're branching into, we hope to expand that, if you will, over the years.
Did you ever dream it was going to be this popular, this big, and the expansion?
In other words, was I ever that crazy to take on something like this? No. I thought when Morgan's Wonderland was built, it would kind of stop. And I don't know if you remember, but after Morgan's was built, I kind of got off the path a little bit, and I started a soccer team. I bought a pro soccer team. And then I built the stadium, Toyota Field. I'd never built a stadium before, so I just wanted to do it just to do it.
Sure, just to do it.
Well, I don't know anything about soccer either. I can't even play soccer, okay? I don't even know what offsides is yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. So in respect to that, it was just something I wanted to do, because I had built a Star Soccer complex next to Morgan's, and people kept saying, well, we need a pro soccer team here. So I said, well, let's do that. And so if you look at opening in 2010, we didn't actually open Inspiration Island until 2018. That's because for 5 years I owned a soccer team. So I built a stadium, built up a soccer team. We won the championship, and then I sold it.
Wow.
So I wanted to go out on the top. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Has all of this changed the way you see success? Because, from a home builder to now what you've created.
Yeah, success. What is success? Success to me is being able to wake up every morning and feel like you're doing something to make a difference. It's not about how much money you have in the bank and all that kind of stuff. When I was younger, I did think that. I thought, well, I got to make money, I guess. And so selling the company and also having a daughter who has special needs, and really also recognizing she's one of the lucky ones and seeing so many issues. Success is what can we do every day to hopefully make the lives of individuals with special needs and disabilities all over the world ultimately better. That's our goal at Morgan's, is to try to not just make things more accessible, but make them more inclusive. We're building a fitness center. We have a sports facility. We have all these different things that are ultra accessible, fully inclusive. We have a salon. Anybody can get their haircut done there. Some people who have never had a haircut ever professionally done come there from all over the country, literally, because they've never had a true haircut, professional haircut. And then people go there who just want to have their haircut. So we do a lot of different things outside the box to try to make a difference towards sparking what we hope is cultural change towards a different aspect of look of how we bring in and include everybody in everything that we do.
And now the hotel. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that how people always say, well, how did that happen? And I often have to go, I don't know. It just happened. Kind of a couple of stories on that. We bring in folks all the time for a lot of tournaments through Power Soccer and tournaments like that. That's where some people are in wheelchairs and they play soccer within a gymnasium. And we have a lot of different sports that we play like that. And I was talking to the young lady who ran all that, and she says, Gordon, this tournament is great, but I have to use 23 different hotels for all the athletes. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, well, there's just the rooms aren't available. And if I build a 100-room hotel, I only have to put in one roll-in shower because ADA is very weak. It's good that it passed. It's wonderful that it passed back in the early 90s, President Bush. But it's weak from the standpoint of what it ultimately asked people to do. And so hotels just are not equipped that way. So I said, well, what if we built a hotel that looked like any other hotel, but we made it ultra accommodating? All that really means is it's bigger rooms, which everybody wants. Who doesn't want to stay in a bigger room? Bigger hallways, all those types of things. And any special accommodations you need, no matter what they may be, You can go on a menu before you get there and tell us what those are, and we will know and have those things in your room for you.
Nice.
So you can come there and have no special need at all, and the whole family can come and enjoy Morgan's or enjoy anything in San Antonio or just have a place to stay. Or if you're coming there and you have special needs accommodations, we will accommodate you. And so there's 119 things within this hotel that are tweaked, if you will, than a standard hotel to ensure that it can ultimately accommodate anyone's needs. So that's what we're doing. We're under construction. We're about ready to go to sheetrock on our model rooms. I used to build model homes, and now I'm building our model rooms. And the reason we're doing model room is because we want to fully do a room. I mean, I'm talking bed, sheets, everything. And then we'll bring people in, those with and without special needs, and say, is there anything about this room we missed? Is a plug too far? Is a lighting not right? Did we not do this right? And then once that's signed off on, what we think is right, we may make some tweaks. Instead of making 93 mistakes, we're going to do one or two and just verify it, and then we're going to go finish out the hotel. That will put us around October, November for an opening. And then we'll have a bar that will be open to the public on the third floor because it had a beautiful view of downtown. And then we'll have a restaurant also on the third floor because of the view, and that will be City View Restaurant. The bar is being named after my Morgan's dog, Blue.
Okay.
So it'll be called the Blue Lounge.
Oh, okay.
And Blue will be hanging out there a lot, too. Yeah, he will.
Oh, fun.
Seriously, he will.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a Bernie Doodle.
Okay.
He's a really neat little dog, and so he'll hang out there. And so anyway, we're doing a lot of neat stuff to try to tie it all together. But it'll be a place where I think everybody will want to come there. I mean, before a game or just after work, just come and enjoy a drink or have a little something to eat with us. But know that you're coming to a place that no matter what happens there, anything that happens there, every penny will go to help operate things at Morgan's. Every net dollar that's made will go 100%. And that's everything we do puts money back into what we do because we run off about a $25 million overhead. And when you give a lot of things away for free, you do a lot of services for free, you don't make that up in volume.
Sure.
And so we do have to raise and bring other money. So we're slowly building resources to do that and putting things in place, not just for now, but in perpetuity. But the hotel is going to play a role in being able to allow us an opportunity to bring in some funds, but also show the lodging industry a different way to do it. I had the opportunity, I was very blessed. I reached out to the CEO of Hyatt, Hilton, and Marriott, and all three CEOs were willing to meet with me, which was very nice of them. And I went and met with all of them, and I explained to them what I'm going to do, and they all said, oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, go do it. And I'm like, well, do you want to be involved? And their answer, I just don't think they were ready for it. I think it was outside their box. And so we just decided we're going to do it. And we'll go, my feeling is if, it was easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
And I want to tell you, because of so many things that we're doing that are 119 things that are a little tweaked, these meetings that would normally be a hotel meeting that may ask a couple of hours at a construction meeting may go all day because there's so many little details that have to be thought through. But when we accomplish that and when we show the world that this is something, then the lodging industry might go, yeah, we need to think about that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing it for.
Wow. So 19 years old, never built a house before, then wildly successful. 20 years ago, never opened an amusement park, worked at an amusement park, wildly successful. And now you're in the hotel business. I can only imagine you're going to be wildly successful.
Well, I hope so. We jump into a lot of things. We have a surgical center, and we do about 6,000 surgeries a year. And you say, well, why? People, why would you get into a surgical? Well, I watched my daughter have surgery. And many of the doctor was really good, but a lot of the nurses a lot of time wouldn't know how to, because Morgan couldn't respond. And they wouldn't treat Morgan the way we thought she should be treated. Not because they were mean, they just didn't know what to do because she couldn't answer to them. Tell me, does it hurt here or whatever? She couldn't answer them. So as time went on and as we started listening to more and more parents and caregivers and stuff, we said, well, we're going to do that. The reason I bring it up is the surgical center doing well? We're not making any money at that, but what we are doing is we're offering a service. Mm-hmm. And we're offering a service, and University Health is involved with us with that, and they're doing wonderfully with us on that. But they believed in what we were doing. And so we try to start things and then bring others and collaborate with others to do things. And that's the way we're really, truly going to make a difference. So our surgeons and the docs and the nurses there, they go through a special training to understand how to deal in issues that otherwise they may not ever encounter. And same thing with us developing in a dental area, big need in dental. We're working to develop a fellowship right now on dental. We don't want to just develop a dental facility. We've got a dental facility that we just finished, but we don't want just dentists to come. We want to do a fellowship so we can teach others that beginning in the field of helping individuals with special needs through a fellowship would be the way to go. That's not part of a routine for them to go through or a rotation for them to go through. So those are the kind of things that we try to say, well, wait, there's a gap here. How can we fill it? And show examples to others to do it. So when you ask me about, is the hotel going to be successful? I hope so. Most things we've jumped into so far have had success in respect to the number of people and the lives that it's affected. It's not all about the bottom line. We're, as I often tell people, it's not about the bottom line. It's about ultimately offering the right service and thinking, how can we do that and make it to where we can continue to be successful, not just today, but in perpetuity. And we put things and structures in place. That's why I partially stayed in development, is because I'm actually able to fund some through what I do in development still for what we do, plus just bringing funds from our original deal to help move a lot of this stuff along.
Yeah, I really admire what you're doing. Where do you think 10, 20 years from now, what does true inclusion look like for you?
Well, someone asked me, what in 10 years, where do you want to be on inclusion? And what I would like to do is for the ADA Act, or the ADA, American Disabilities Act, to be updated to include certain additional opportunities for individuals with special needs and disabilities. They're small tweaks. They're little things here and there, but many times the ADA is just a check off the box, get it approved, and move on when we build buildings and we do things like that. We could do little tweaks in buildings and things like, let me give you an example, like actuators for doors. Right now it costs about $6,000 to put an actuator on a door. That cost, because of technology, and we're actually involved in working with a group on that very, very heavily, very focused on it. We're going to cut that cost by 4 times less. So actuators will be much less expensive. So when you're looking at like this office building here, you look at it and go, for just $3,000, I can make my office available for someone who's in a wheelchair or someone, and you could voice activate it. So if you're in a walker, you could say, open the door, and the door would open. So many things that we do benefit everybody, because you may be carrying a bunch of boxes.
Sure.
And you may just want to say, open the door. Well, right now, you wouldn't put actuators up for that. But if we can bring the cost down by being more aggressive through technology, we can make a difference. So we're doing a lot of other things in other kind of investment areas to try to make a difference in that as well. So my hope is in 10 years that we have a lot of these things in place, and individuals and the community of individuals with special needs and disabilities are at the table. There's been many great things that have happened over the years where a certain organization has been brought attention to what their needs are. All wonderful. The special needs community hasn't met that yet. Out of every philanthropic dollar that goes out there, even though individuals with special needs represent 15 to 20% of the population, only 1.5% of philanthropic dollars goes towards special needs.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. Because we're not at the table. And so I want to be at the table. I know that sounds kind of like, what do you mean at the table? I want to be part of those groups that people go, yeah, we need to put focus on.
Sure.
There's been focus. I'm not saying that people have ignored. I'm just saying there's other things that need to be done. And our hope is that through us bringing about an element of the desire for inclusion, not just accessibility, that we can possibly do that.
What do you think people misunderstand about inclusion?
Well, I think people think that if they make something accessible, that automatically it's inclusive. There is a park that recently reached out to us. I don't want to get into names, but they said, hey, we made this change to these couple of rides in this particular area of the park. I say, great, but you need to spread that out so individuals with special needs who would want to go on those rides, and everybody who'd want to go on those rides, it's not just over in that corner.
Right.
And I think that's what sometimes happens. The intention is right, and we're working with them to try to broaden how they look at that, because people reach out to us all the time. So I think we're about trying to just broaden the thought process of what is accessibility. When someone either be physical or cognitive, let them have that same opportunity everybody else has. And that means changes. Many times I often talk about the community is the individuals with special needs have it all right. Is the community that hasn't figured it out yet? Okay, and I think that's where we if we can make that adjustment, we can open up a lot more doors for individuals, because it's a big population. I mean, we're not talking a small number. If you take the overall, according to census data, about 65 million individuals in the United States have some form of special need. And when I sometimes give talks, I'll say anybody who knows or is as a loved one or a parent of a special needs, raise your hand. I will say almost always everybody raises their hand. There's an associate, I know someone or whatever. And so, but many times, I don't think, and many of the folks who work within the organization and those who work with us in many different ways feel the same way. And so we're just going to continue to do what we can to bring about more inclusion.
I think that what you've done and what Morgan's Wonderland is, just by being, is such a great education for our community. It really helps folks understand what inclusion means, and they get to actually see it with their own eyes. And that's something that is uniquely San Antonio, but you see that going beyond San Antonio. What does that look like?
Well, we recently started an institute. Morgan's Inclusion Institute has a president, and we have 4 presidents, and then we have 4 shared service executives and 1 CEO. So there's 9 executives who, in effect, run the Morgan's organization. I don't know what my job is.
I was going to say, what do you do? Dabble in everything.
I hang out and just watch them do magic but they're wonderful folks. But the president of the institute, his job is he works with different organizations to be able to go in and educate them on how to be more inclusive. We just signed with some major companies. I don't want to mention names until all that stuff kind of goes public, because we're just now signing on a bunch of major organizations who we're going to go in and work with to allow them to learn through education, through adjustments to their facilities and things like that, to be more inclusive. And also people contact us all the time and say, what can we do? How can we do this in our community? Well, before we'd say, I don't know, we don't have time to help you. Well, now we have a whole part of Morgan's that can go and say, hey, this organization reached out to us and wants to know what's the secret sauce of being able to be more inclusive, and we can show them and help them. And so that's what we're doing now through the Institute. It's brand new. It's something we've been thinking about for a couple of years, but now it's finally moving forward in a fashion that will make, in 5 years where it is going to be totally different than where it is today. And I can tell that, when you start something, you kind of have to crawl, walk, and run. We're crawling right now, but we're about ready to get up on the table and wobble a little bit, if you will, and then maybe start to walk a little bit. So that's coming right around the corner.
That's great. What about Morgan's studio? That's new.
Yeah, well, the studio opened about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's great. We love the studio because it allows us an opportunity to do shows that we were able to put out on YouTube and a lot of other ways to do it. I've done a lot of live shows there, even Australia, which I was doing later in the afternoon, but it was morning there. So I had to say, hey, good morning. Oh, good morning. I was like, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was kind of different, but we do live shows from there all the time. And then we also put on a lot of productions. And we also work with a lot of other nonprofits to use our facility. Because we're not, hey, this is ours, stay away. We're about collaboration. And so the studio's been something, Leslie Mouton, who used to be with KSAT about 5.5 years ago, was looking for something different in her life, and she came and joined us. And then in time, we said, with all that she was doing, she needed a studio if we were really going to take it to a whole nother level. It's a full-fledged studio. It has green screens and teleprompters and news desk and control rooms and all that. I mean, it's the real deal. And it's kind of cool because it allows us to do so much that otherwise we could never think of doing. And our hope is as we grow other things, we start putting on daily shows so that individuals with special needs and those who don't can start seeing daily shows from the studio. And that's down the road a little bit in our plan. So we're just getting started. We're just getting started on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how often is Morgan there, kind of checking things out?
Well, I mean, in respect to going to the park and stuff, I mean, she goes to a lot of different functions. Morgan is quite an icon when it comes to San Antonio. I mean, she gets, Morgan has to, she's very good about it in respect to when I take her, like, let's say we go to HEB, it's like, can we have a picture with Morgan?
Really?
You know, what I have to say, though, is ask her. You know, she'll answer. And maybe on some days she doesn't want a picture.
Sure.
Yeah, most days she's very good about it. But just this weekend, she went to the metal exchange. We had thousands of folks showed up for the Fiesta Meadow Exchange at Morgan's.
Yes.
And last year we had it at the Multi-Assistance Center. This year we had it at Morgan's, and Morgan went. And I mean, the number of people Morgan didn't move for 2 hours. I mean,
she's a celebrity now.
Yeah, she's a celebrity. So, but she handles it well. Sometimes it's a little
overwhelming, maybe a bit.
A little bit, maybe a sensory overload. I think I get sensory overload
Sure.
easily. And I mean, imagine she has certain things from a standpoint that where she would also have a sensory overload, but she handles it well because we've been blessed with a caregiver who's helped her understand how to deal with that and work with that. But so Morgan watches. I don't think she truly understands the magnitude of Morgan's, what it's all about. Mm-hmm. She knows it's named after her. She knows that people want to take pictures with her, and she likes to hug people and smile. But if you were to really try to get her to tell you what it's all about, it would be difficult for her to achieve that. But she knows. It's not that she doesn't know. She's not able to communicate it properly. So she has just issues of being able to. She's zeroing in on what's going on and is picking up on things, but she just can't convey back to you some of her thoughts and things like we're doing right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Such great work.
This is amazing. With other guests we've had on the podcast, they've had visions, right? And they talk about how they pursue their visions. And a lot of our listeners are folks who are experienced in the development of the business world, but we have a lot of young people listening as well. And so one of the things we like to ask is, a little bit of advice, and it's probably going to be part of our final 20 questions. It's not 20 questions.
20 questions.
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, yeah.
No.
I'll call my wife until I'll be late for dinner. No.
But if you could just take a moment to talk about young folks in development or just in business in general, how it is they do what you did, and not building Morgan's Wonderland, maybe not being a home builder, but just acting on a vision. What is that?
It's focus, it's persistence, it's a desire, it's a willingness. I mean, I could use a lot of different words like that, but you've got to have them all, and you got to stay focused. You got to stay on your toes. When I played basketball, I think my coach always told me to stay on your toes. Never let anybody pass you. Make sure that you're focused on who you're guarding and making sure you do the best. And it's those little things and little expressions like that of stay on your toes and always be ready for being able to make adjustments. And but look, people know who work with me. I expect a lot out of folks who work with me. And I don't say work for me because we work with me. Everybody, we work together as a team. It's truly team effort kind of stuff. I'll do it. If I'm asking anyone to do anything, I'll do it with them as well. I never ask anybody to do something I wouldn't want them to do. And so I think it's a matter of just everybody just recognizing that it's a team effort. It's an opportunity to make a difference. I think the reason I'm very blessed right now with such wonderful people working within the Morgan's organization is because they see that we really are making a difference. We truly can see it, not just by us thinking it, but we watch it and we hear about it, and that even compounds wanting to do more of it. And there's an old expression, success breeds success. And so once you start to see it, and it's not always monetary, it's just any kind of success, the type of success I'm talking about here where you're helping others, that breeds more of that, and then it breeds more, and it just builds and it builds and it builds. And I think that's why we went from 16 years ago, which in 3 days Morgan's will be 16 years old. We went from that to where we are today because one thing led to another. And people say, well, why don't you do that? Well, yeah, why don't we do that? And why can't we do that? And, we're building some slides right now, a 3- and 4-story slide for our water park. The first ultra-accessible, fully inclusive water slides.
Very cool.
So even if you're in a wheelchair, you can come up to the 4th floor of a water slide, and under certain rules, you can go down that slide with someone else in a raft that's being perfected for that purpose.
Oh, that's
neat.
never
Never been done before. Okay, so when I first had the idea last year, this is an idea that came up last August, and will open sometime in July. So we like to move fast. But when we came up with it, it was like, well, why can't we do that? And some people said, you can't do that. And we said, yes, we can. So I guess what I tell people is when someone says no, all we hear is maybe, and let's just figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that's part of it is you just never give up. And we've got some other things that we're going to be announcing. There's 3 other projects that we're working on right now. A couple of them are people are like, really, why, or where is that Well, yeah, we can, but it's not going to be easy. There's an expression I use all the time. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Sure.
And so we have to get outside the box and do some things that are a little bit harder. But if you have a passion, you will overcome any of those kind of things that move you back. And that was the same thing in home building. I mean, a lot of times markets go up, markets go down. You got to be able to make it through those markets. Sometimes you may put too many specs on the ground. Maybe you build too many streets, and you got to look at what that means, and you got to make adjustments. It's not any different than everything, but you just can't give up, and you got to continue to be persistent and keep focused. Focus, focus, focus.
Great advice.
Appreciate that.
So this is the fun part, our rapid fire.
This has been fun
segment.
so far.
I agree. I agree.
Okay. I mean, especially with what y'all pay me for this. My God.
First thing that comes to your mind when you answer these, okay?
Okay.
Tex-Mex or barbecue?
Tex-Mex.
Phone call or a text?
Phone call.
Books or podcasts?
Podcast. Huh?
Courtside Spurs tickets or the big screen at home on the couch?
That's a hard one because I like that. I'm supposed to answer real quick. I'm going to say on the couch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best advice you would give your younger self?
My younger self, what advice would I give my younger self? Maybe slow down a little bit more and smell the roses a little bit more.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I like that.
One word, this is the last one. One word to describe San Antonio.
Compassionate.
Love
San
that.
Antonio is a compassionate city. There's no question. I mean, even from the standpoint of, I can give you so many examples, but even I'll go to a simple example. When you come up and you need to be let in for traffic, what does San Antonio do? They let you in.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to so many other cities where I've driven and nobody lets. I mean, this is just a city who cares about others and so compassionate. There's other words as well that are all positive, but we're a very compassionate city.
That's a great one. We'll leave it right there.
Okay.
Gordon Hartman, thank you so much for being on Breaking
thank
Ground
y'all.
SA in the IBC Bank studio. Thank you to our sponsor, IRC Capital Residential.
Gordon, thank you. And for all of our listeners, all our viewers, keep watching, keep listening, and keep sharing.
Thank you. See you next time.
Goodbye.